Tonight on First at 9, this Wednesday the 31st of July 2024. Ground level support. Former provincial councillors and local government representatives from the SLPP and UNP pledged their support to the President. President expresses confidence in the current office bearers to advance the country. Allies. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party decides to back President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the presidential election. Game on. Bonds placed for opposition leader Sajid Premadas's presidential candidacy.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Derana First at 9. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. And in your top story this evening, a group of 116 former provincial council and local government representatives from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and the United National Party have pledged their commitment to support President Ranil Wickremesinghe's victory in the upcoming presidential election. During the meeting with the former local government and provincial council members, the President emphasised the importance of safeguarding and advancing the country's growing economy and added that the agreement with the International Monetary Fund must remain intact, highlighting that it is everyone's responsibility to continue working towards economic progress even during elections.
A meeting of the ruling party parliamentarians was held at the Presidential Secretariat last evening under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. According to the President's office, 92 members of parliament, including ministers and state ministers, pledged their support to the head of state in the upcoming presidential election.
During
the past few years, we supported your economic program. All of us know that a country deteriorates if its economy collapses. Because of that, we unanimously decided to support you. We will deploy our full strength to make you victorious.
I held a meeting with the intention of arriving at a final decision with regard to the stance that we will be taking. I told those who want to support Ranil Wickremesinghe to raise their hands. Out of the 200 members, 198 raised their hands, proving their support to you. Only 2 raised their hands, extending their support to Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. 9 parliamentarians representing Anuradhapura district were elected to parliament from our party. Out of that number, 8 MPs have pledged their support to you. Only 1 MP will be supporting the Samagi Jana Balawegaya.
මම ජනාධිපතිකම බාරගත්තද්දී ඔක්කොම පක්ෂ වාගේ කොටස් දෙකකට බෙදුණා.
Most of the parties representing parliament became divided when I was appointed as the president. Then I requested the support of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna from former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. He took a correct decision at that time and I am thankful for that. He took that decision by taking the country into account, not me. We wouldn't have been able to move forward without the support of you all. This is a massive war and we battle to a certain degree. Most of the people in this country say that this is the most suitable team for the job. They say that there is no second team. We have created that team, which is a great achievement. I accepted the responsibility because I thought there was no suitable person for the job to handle this situation for at least another 5 years. The team that we are working with should know how to work beyond that period. That is our way forward. The reason I thought of contesting as an independent candidate is that the general public is fed up with the traditional political system. They are fed up with the politics of the SLPP, UNP, SJB and JVP. All of you can think anew. All of you are moving forward on a new path. Please do not turn back because all of you are talented. Do not underestimate yourself. This group is similar to the group that existed in 1977, which I was also a part of. All of them faced challenges and moved forward. While thanking everyone, I invite all of you to move forward.
ඕනෑම අභියෝගයක් මුහුණ දීලා ඉස්සරහට ගියා. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා මම සියලු දෙනාටම ස්තුති කරමින් අපි ඉදිරියට යමු.
Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe chaired another meeting with former local and provincial government members of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and the United National Party this morning. During the meeting, a total of 116 members from the SLPP and the UNP pledged their support to the incumbent president.
දැන් අපිට මුදල් තියෙන දෙසැම්බර් මාස වෙනකම් විතරයි. ජනවාරි මාසෙ.
We only have funds until December. We will sign our next agreement with the IMF in January. Then we will receive funds for both January and February. What happens if we have to renegotiate that agreement? Can that be concluded soon? Usually when Sajith Premadasa wants to talk, it will take at least a day or two. It will take another year. Does that mean we have to function without funds? We have to think whether we have to obtain the funds and move forward or refrain from signing the agreements. We have to think about how to solve these problems. The youth will not wait for so long. We have to develop the country and provide them employment. The majority of SLPP members decided to support me in 2022. We would not have this situation if they refused to support me back then. Let's move forward. There are ongoing problems. The Hamas leader was assassinated in Tehran today. I condemn that assassination. What happens if a war escalates from this act? What kind of impact will it have on fuel prices? If a problematic situation erupts, we might have to repatriate our employees in the Middle East to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, which is recovering, cannot face such a situation. We have to get ourselves ready. I have appointed a committee chaired by me which includes the Ministers of Foreign Affairs, Energy and Foreign Employment to assess the economic impact of this situation and the necessary steps that need to be taken.
මේක ඇති වෙන ආර්ථික විපාකය මොකක්ද කියලා බලන්න කොහොමද ක්‍රියා කරන්නේ.
Against this backdrop, Minister of Urban Development and Housing Prasanna Ranatunga, in a letter to former President and leader of Sri Lanka Posjana Peramuna Mahinda Rajapaksa, noted that he will support President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming presidential election by taking the country and its people into account. He highlighted that the country's current situation does not permit taking risks or conducting experiments, while highlighting that the recent decision of the SLPP Politburo does not reflect the opinion of SLPP supporters. Ranatunga stated that those who influenced former President Mahinda Rajapaksa towards that decision do not care for the party or its supporters. Ranatunga, who highlighted the necessity of Ranil Wickremesinghe's leadership to maintain progress, added that he is the only alternative to safeguard SLPP supporters at this crucial juncture. In the meantime, several rounds of discussions with regard to the presidential election were held at the party headquarters of Sri Lanka Posjana Peramuna in Battaramulla.
පොදුජන පෙරමුණින් අපේක්ෂකයෙක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ දේශපාලන මණ්ඩලයේ ගත ඒ තීන්දුවම ඉන්නවද තවදුරටත් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් පසුතැවීමක් එහෙම නැද්ද?
නෑ අපි පක්ෂයක් විදිහට අපි තීන්දුවක් ගත්තා.
As a party, we took a decision. When we took a decision to support Ranil Wickremesinghe back then, those who are praising him now blamed us for appointing him. Even I was blamed for making that decision. Some claim that I took the decision in order to prevent lawsuits being filed against me. Our politics are not based on a single person.
පුද්ගලයෝ කේන්ද්‍ර කරගෙන දේශපාලන තීන්දුව ගන්නෙ නෑ.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party too has decided to support President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming presidential election. The decision was made after President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed willingness to support an action plan presented by the SLFP. The SLFP meeting, which was conducted under the patronage of party chairman Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva, included members of the party holding ministerial and state ministerial portfolios in the current government. During the meeting, General Secretary of the SLFP, Duminda Disanayake, presented the letter from President Ranil Wickremesinghe to the members.
දේශපාලන මණ්ඩලෙත් ඒ වගේම මධ්‍යම කාර්ය සභාවෙත් විධායක සභාවෙත් තීන්දුව උනේ අපි මේ වෙනකොට ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ අනාගත වැඩපිළිවෙලක් හදලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වැඩපිළිවෙල අපි 6:00 අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමාට අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා. ඒ ඉදිරිපත් කළා එතුමාගේ ඒ වැඩපිළිවෙල සම්බන්ධයෙන් තියෙන එකඟතාවය මත ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ තීන්දුව ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න අපි තීන්දුව කරලා තියෙනවා. ජනාධිපතිතුමාට විතර දේ වැඩපිළිවෙල ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න නෑ අපිට මේ වෙනකොට අපිට සහයෝගය ලිඛිතව ඉල්ලීමක් කරලා තියෙන්නේ වර්තමාන ජනාධිපති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා පමණයි.
Following the meeting at the party headquarters, SLFP members presented the party's action plan to President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Following the meeting with the president, it was determined that the SLFP would back incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the forthcoming presidential election.
විධායක සභාවෙත් ඒ වගේම මධ්‍යම කාරක සභාවෙත් ඒකමතික තීරණය වූයේ ඉදිරි ජනාධිපතිවරණයේදී රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතාගේ ජයග්‍රහණයට ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය උරදිය යුතු බවයි.
In the previous general election, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, chaired by former President Maithripala Sirisena, secured 14 seats in Parliament. Of those 14 SLFP MPs, MP Shan Vijayalal de Silva opted to join the main opposition Samagi Jana Balawegaya earlier this year. Meanwhile, former President Maithripala Sirisena has decided to support Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa in the upcoming election. SLFP MP Angajan Ramanathan, an independent MP and former acting General Secretary of the SLFP, Dushmantha Mitrapala, have stated that they have not yet decided which candidate to support. Additionally, MP Dayasiri Jayasekara mentioned that his decision on whom to support in the upcoming election will be announced next Saturday.
ලබන සෙන්සුරාදා විතර අපි සියලුම ආසන සංවිධායකවරු ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය ආරාධනා කළ තියෙනවා. ඒ සියලු දෙනාටම සෙන්සුරාදාන් පස්සේ අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් අපි අද ගන්න තීන්දුව කියලා.
Horizon Campus 2024 intake. Register now.
Bonds were placed with the Election Commission on behalf of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, who will be the presidential candidate of the main opposition Samagi Jana Balawegaya. SJB General Secretary Ranjit Madduma Bandara said that the party will officially establish its alliance for the presidential election on the 8th of August to consolidate support for the opposition leader. General Secretary of Samagi Jana Balawegaya Ranjit Madduma Bandara arrived at the offices of the Election Commission this morning to place bonds on behalf of SJB leader and leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa for his candidacy in the 2024 presidential election.
We placed bonds on behalf of our party's leader Sajith Premadasa, who will be Samagi Jana Balawegaya's presidential candidate. We know that his victory is certain. We will officially establish our alliance for the upcoming presidential election on the 8th of August at the Sugathadasa Stadium. More than 10 political groups will join us.
දේශපාලන කාණ්ඩායම් 10කට වැඩි අපිට එකතු වෙනවා.
විශේෂයෙන්ම දැන් මේ 92ක් ජනාධිපතිතුමාට එකතු වුණා කියලා ඉවර වෙලා
They are celebrating 92 parliamentarians pledging their support to the president. However, you cannot become president by securing a majority in parliament. It is the country's 17 million voters that decide who becomes president. Just because parliamentarians pledge to support the president, that does not necessarily mean their voters will do the same.
මන්ත්‍රීවරු ගියා කියලා ඉවරලා පුද්ගලයෝ යනවද නැද්ද කියන පිළිබඳව ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා.
In the meantime, Samagi Jana Balawegaya parliamentarian Lakshman Kiriyala expressed concern that a plot might be in progress to delay the presidential election.
The Supreme Court has ordered the appointment of an acting IGP. Earlier they said that the President, the Chief Justice and the Speaker of Parliament will discuss and resolve the issue. Now it is said that the President and the Speaker of Parliament should discuss and resolve the matter. These are immature acts. How can respondents to a petition provide solutions? It is clear that the government is taking steps to sabotage the election.
Meanwhile, during a media briefing today, SJB parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva commented on the party's economic policy.
We will only be able to come out of this mess if Sri Lanka becomes an important factor of the global economy. Whether that transformation was introduced by Ranil Wickremesinghe or Sajith Premadasa is irrelevant. What is important is the policies. Some people say that the agreements arrived with the IMF cannot be changed, and as a result, the people have to bear the painful process and move forward. We do not believe that these agreements alone will be sufficient to reach our targets.
අපි විශ්වාස කරන්නේ නැහැ මේ අසං කරපු රාමුව ඇතුලේ පමණයි කියලා අර බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ඩෙස්ටිනේෂන් එකට යන්න පුළුවන්.
Now, Executive Committee member of the National People's Power, Sunil Hadunethi, assures that the victories gained during the people's struggle of 2022 will be enshrined in law following an NPP victory at the presidential election. Hadunethi made this statement while addressing an NPP convention in Biyagama.
A business forum of the National People's Power was held yesterday in Biyagama.
How many times are we planning to develop this country with Ranil Wickremesinghe? Who are the ones supporting Ranil Wickremesinghe once again? Since Ranil often defended criminals, people such as Arjun Mahindran and Arjun Aloysius are on his side. By any chance, if Ranil Wickremesinghe comes to power again, Ravi Karunanayaka will be appointed as the State Minister of Finance. Nimal Siripala De Silva and Prasanna Ranatunga will hold ministerial portfolios once again. Mahindanand Alutgamage previously said that he is awaiting President Wickremesinghe's imprisonment. However, he is also supporting the president now. Ranil Wickremesinghe represented the political camp of the Rajapakshas. In 2022, the citizens of this country ousted some criminals from office. However, it was Ranil Wickremesinghe protected those people. The corrupt elite who split themselves into two political parties have destroyed the country. However, this era come to an end in 2022. However, the public failed to formalize this victory. On the 21st of September, the victory achieved during the struggle of 2022 will be enshrined in law with the people's mandate.
Chairman of the Election Commission RMAL Ratnayaka highlighted that political parties with ongoing internal crises will not be permitted to nominate candidates for the presidential election. Ratnayaka added that the Election Commission will hold discussions with crisis-ridden parties in the coming days in an effort to resolve their internal issues before the date of accepting nominations. With dates for the crucial presidential election being announced, several presidential candidates have already placed their election deposits with the Election Commission. Against this backdrop, the Election Commission convened a media briefing this morning to comment on a number of matters related to the presidential contest.
Accepting of nominations is scheduled to take place from 9 am to 11 am on the 15th of August. Objections can be made until 11:30 am. The Election Commission is currently engaged in arranging the measures required for this process.
මේ වෙන විට අපි දන්නවා පිළිගත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂවල දැනට පවතින අර්බුද නිසා තරඟ කරන්න ලැබෙන ආකාරය පිළිබඳව පැහැදිලි කිරීමක් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද?
There are several parties with issues concerned in the secretary position. The Election Commission will hold discussions with the relevant parties on whom to consider as the party secretary. However, if these parties are unable to resolve their internal issues, they will not be permitted to nominate candidates for this year's presidential election.
The police special task force has arrested a Maulavi and his brother in Oddamavadi while in possession of illegal weapons, including 2 firearms and several rounds of ammunition, which were reportedly obtained from a former LTTE member. Acting police spokesperson DIG Ruwan Gunasekara said that the arrestees have been handed over to the Terrorism Investigation Division for further investigations. The police special task force, with assistance from the Sri Lanka Army Intelligence Division, arrested the suspect in Oddamavadi, Navaladi, while in possession of a T-56 assault rifle, a magazine and 29 rounds of ammunition. During questioning, the suspect revealed information that led the police special task force to search the home of one of his brothers, where they discovered another T-56 assault rifle, a magazine and 30 rounds of ammunition. The 43-year-old suspect, a resident of Valachene, claimed to be a Maulavi in the Navalapitiya area. The suspect has claimed that his interest in firearms led him to acquire and keep these weapons from a former LTTE member. The suspect has been handed over to the Terrorist Investigation Division for further investigation.
During a search operation, we discovered 2 T-56 assault rifles, a pair of binoculars and additional equipment. We were also able to capture a motorbike and 2 number plates belonging to another motorbike, which is suspected to have being used to transport the T-56 assault rifles.
Star dishwasher Dali Tel Indul Pahasuwen Sede. Star dishwasher magic tub එක.
Welcome back. Now, the Department of Census and Statistics announced today that inflation, as measured by the Colombo Consumer Price Index, increased to 2.4% in July 2024, up from 1.7% in June. The department attributed the rise in inflation primarily to price increases in both food and non-food groups during the month. The Colombo Consumer Price Index showed a 1.5% increase in food prices compared to a year earlier and a 2.8% rise in the non-food group. For July 2024, on a year-on-year basis, the contribution to inflation from food commodities was 0.49%, while the contribution from non-food items was 1.90%. The increase in non-food items was mainly due to price hikes in categories such as transport, alcoholic beverages and tobacco, education and restaurants. The health sector recorded an inflation rate of 0.12%. However, experts believe that effects of reduced electricity prices have yet to be reflected in the inflation data. The central bank, which also lowered policy rates further during the month, stated that inflation is expected to remain below the target level in the near future. State gas supplier Litrogas Lanka announced that the prices of its domestic LP gas cylinders will not be revised for the month of August. Accordingly, the price of the 12.5 kilogram gas cylinder will remain at 3,690 rupees, while the 5 kilogram gas cylinder will continue to be sold at 1,482 rupees in August. The 2.3 kilogram gas cylinder will remain at 694 rupees. Now, the Colombo Bourse closed in red today as a result of price losses in counters such as John Keel's Holdings, Sampath Bank and Melster Corp, with turnover crossing 3.9 billion rupees. The benchmark all-share index settled 0.91% lower at 11,406.56 points, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 edged down by 2.05% to close at 3,265.55 points. During the month, the ASPI and the S&P SL20 lost 6.1% and 9% respectively, whilst recording an average daily turnover of 1.01 billion rupees. Trading volume on the ASPI rose to 197.6 billion shares from 29 million in the previous session. The real estate sector was the top contributor to the market turnover. Foreign investors were net sellers, offloading stocks worth 3 billion rupees, while domestic investors were net buyers, purchasing shares worth 937 million rupees. Up next is Udishan Jonas from Capital Alliance with some thoughts on the current status of the economy in our next segment, Economic Outlook.
Treasury bill rates at today's auction remain flat across all three maturities, 3, 6 and 12 months, amidst the central bank only accepting 126 billion rupees of bonds versus the 170 billion rupees bond bills offered to the market. Despite the Central Bank of Sri Lanka cutting policy rates by 25 basis points last week, we've seen the treasury bond rates on both the primary and secondary bond auctions increase during this week. At the T-bond auctions held yesterday, we saw the T-bond rates on the 2030 and 33 bonds increase between 47 to 70 basis points across the 2030 and 33 bonds. And this is as a result of investors shifting towards the shorter maturity in line of election-related uncertainty coming into the market. We haven't seen the full effect of the electricity tariff reduction coming into play, and we believe that large part of it will only come in during the month of August.
Now let's take a look at the rupee exchange rate for the day. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you and have a good night.